Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Tower Strong Project.
The hair.
The
We,
hair
we
on
was
the
talking
back.
about dog hair right before we started recording. That's funny.
But anyway,
Mm. But tonight is going to be pretty interesting because we definitely, have some thoughts on, and I'm wondering if other listeners out there may have wondered the same thing that we're going to be talking about tonight. um, I guess you could say, with the different Baptist religions, I guess you could say. And I always it sparked my curiosity uh, when I passed by a church and, majority of the churches around here, they're Baptist churches and they each have a definitive name, whether it's primitive, independent, missionary Baptists. So we've got like three or four different definition um, Baptist churches that we're going to be talking about today. Just, I guess, out of curiosity and how each one is defined and how that came about.
well, the Baptists have been around a while. I mean, the core Baptist belief is there's no central pope, bishop, or headquarters telling every church what to do, which ain't really
That's not
technically,
true.
that ain't,
What about the this Baptist Association? That's like the mothership.
yeah. They can say whatever they want to, but a lot of your missionary Baptists, their money goes to that. I mean, yeah, it's all one
Well,
big.
I remember I was told that as far as the missionary Baptists, so they focus on missionaries. So they do raise money for missionaries, like out of the country missionaries is what I'm thinking. I'm not exactly sure, but I believe that is pretty accurate as far as where their focal point is. And
Their focus is on missionaries and baptism. That is their really focal point right there. They
so
they
they push baptism
they really push baptism. Uh,
after you're saved.
yeah, yeah, they really do. I mean,
So where do they get that from? I
the
mean, like where in scripture? I'm sure, it's in the Bible. They get that from the Bible. But
I don't know if they take the name literally. I don't know.
well, I mean, I always thought that they really had that focus on John the Baptist.
They do, but most of your missionary Baptists, one of the requirements for joining the church is you either have to come from another missionary Baptist church or you got to be baptized into it. I mean, just like to be a member of that church, you got to be baptized. No ifs, ands, buts.
Really.
Really.
So if I went over to a Baptist church and I wanted to join, they would really push me to get baptized.
Mm, I don't
I
know
mean,
because
because it
you
will.
came from a missionary Baptist church, so your name. I guess I don't know how they do the roll. Like your name's on the roll. I don't know how they do that. I don't know if our name's still on the roll. Uh,
Probably they don't eliminate it, and that would be probably for financial reasons.
it reminds me of the church we used to go to. I just seen where their pastor. His last day was Sunday.
Yeah, I seen that.
Hmm.
I seen that.
Huh.
Interesting. Well, you probably found somewhere else. It's
Make more money.
probably,
Yeah. But anyway, we can start with the primitive Baptist. They are the probably the first original Baptist that were hard shell. I mean they're hard line. Uh,
well,
they
they don't
were
do
in
the
the
Sunday school. They don't do the Sunday school thing.
they were in the 19th century. So during the anti-mission movement. So I don't know what that means. I'll have to look that up. So apparently they didn't believe in missions, but their core view is a strict Calvinism, meaning God has already chosen who is saved, so human effort doesn't change it.
That's interesting.
Uh, the key distinctions is they oppose mission boards. They oppose Sunday schools and theological seminaries, viewing them as unbiblically human intentions. Their worship is intentionally uh, vague, uh, a cappella singing only, no musical instruments, and foot washing services.
Yeah, that's really, isn't that kind of
You ever
the
been
belief?
to a primitive Baptist?
I don't know. I don't think I have. I've only been to that missionary
I
one, I
have.
believe.
They're really
I'd say that they're the type that probably preach, guitars are from the devil, or music's from the devil, long hair's the devil,
I
stuff
think
like
they
that.
changed a little bit because I know some primitives that play music in the church. I do know that. They may have, kind of let that slide in.
So they believe that there's no use in trying to go and talk to people about God. God has already chosen who has who is saved and who's going to be saved.
Yeah, yeah.
So that
They
kind of
believe in the Calvin, John Calvin. The
well, that
pastor.
sounds a little bit like what's his face? The I knew a pastor that talked about him all the time, and it started with an I want to say Spartanburg, but that's not right. What's his name?
Spurgeon.
Spurgeon.
Uh,
Spartanburg. I knew it was somewhere around there. Spurgeon. That sounds like a little bit what Spurgeon said, unless he was kind of saying something like, he wished God would put an X on the people that he knew was going to listen.
right. Well, basically the same thing. They were both Calvinists.
Yeah.
They were pretty famous past preachers, of whatever you call them, back in that day. But I've been to them before. I mean, they're different. Most of them, for the most part, the women wear dresses. They're not allowed to wear pants, no makeup, nothing of that sort. Their hair's got to be kept long. I know a few, I work with a few that are primitives and they still
And
believe
they're
that way.
King James Bible people.
Only King James.
Hmm.
They'll fight you over that. But then you got the Missionary Baptists. And it was formed in a direct reaction to the Primitive Baptist in the 1820s to the 1830s. Their core view is salvation is offered to all, and Christians are commanded to actively preach and fund global missions.
Hmm.
Hmm. So it was just Primitive Baptists that didn't believe that God had already chosen whoever, and no human effort can change that. But yet they still have Sunday services for some reason. If they believe that, why they have service? But anyway, your Baptist believe in global missions. That's the missionaries. So they created mission boards and organized structures to send missionaries worldwide. Today, Missionary Baptist often specifically identifies historically African American congregations like National Baptist Convention through the term originally just meant pro mission. And then you got the Independent Fundamental Baptist. They grew rapidly in the mid 20th century, so they're fairly young, breaking away from mainstream denominations over modernism and liberal theology.
That probably broke out a lot. Maybe I'm thinking in college campuses, maybe a little bit more of the youthful mentality, because it's almost like it's baptism. The Baptist churches have evolved into. I mean, there's like what 3 or 4 different types of Baptists.
Yeah, I mean that's just a we just that we know of. I mean, there's independent, missionary, primitive, and I want to say there's another one, and I can't really think of what that is. But anyway, uh, the missionaries' structure is just basically set up the same way as primitive as far as that goes, as far as structure, pastor. I think some of the primitive Baptists, a pastor will pastor two or three different churches, and they'll have like services once a month at each church.
Hmm.
But then you got the independent fundamental. Uh, the core view on them is complete separation from external hierarchies, worldliness, and other denominations. So they don't want nothing to do with none of them. So
So what's their base belief
that
though?
really explains a lot to me right there. But anyway, because the guy I work with is an independent Baptist.
Is that the name?
Yeah. Zero denomination.
So there's no conventions,
They
no.
they reject all conventions, associations, and mission boards. Well, I know his church is in an association, so I know that all ain't true.
A lot of them don't. I don't think some of them who kind of steer in a different direction makes me wonder, do they even know what they're doing? I mean, you got a sign out there that says Independent Baptist, and you really need to go and Google what Independent Baptist is. Because if you've got Sunday school, or if you've got, um, you know, missions, or, going to conventions, and they hold what? Raffles?
Yeah,
It's like, what are you doing? Holding a raffle for what? A TV?
according to this, I mean, they shouldn't be doing that,
I
but
know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, do they even know what they're doing? I mean, are they?
no.
It sounds like they're playing church.
Well, a lot of them
You
are.
know?
I'm not going to say all of them are. A lot of them are really serious and sincere about what they're
Oh yeah,
doing.
you're gonna have people in there who are sincere. They really believe it. They are sincere. They mean no harm. They think they're doing what's good and what's best for their family.
But the independence is King James only. Many strict independent churches hold that the King James is the only preserved Word of God in English. I can vouch for that one.
Do they even know or have done any history on King James whatsoever?
No, no. All they know is what they are told inside that building. Remember, they reject everything.
They reject that for a reason,
Right.
so that they
They
don't have to
reject
know any truth.
they reject all external hierarchies, worldliness, and other denominations. So, and strict dress and lifestyle codes, traditional music only, traditional gender roles, and separation from popular culture. Hmm. Well, that don't hold true for all the independent fundamental Baptists I know. Unless the church don't know that they're doing these things outside. I don't know. Uh, but the ones I know, that don't hold true. But and then you got the Southern Baptist Convention, split from Northern Baptist in 1845, originally over the issue of slavery. Today, it is the largest Protestant denomination in the U.S. The
Hmm.
core view, evangelical theology backed by the corporative program, a centralized fund where local churches pool money for global missions, seminaries, and relief work. Key distinctions: highly organized network with a massive global missions board, conservative on social issues, restricting the role of pastor to men, but allows individual churches freedom in worship style ranging from traditional hymns to modern stadium style rock bands.
So I guess it's kind of like
If you can't beat them, join them.
you know in their message of faith is establishing beliefs on the Trinity and the salvation through faith in Jesus Christ. So that's their main Baptist faith, uh, and they teach that every Christian has direct access to God and the responsibility to share their faith. Do they, though they hold a high view of ordained pastoral leadership. So, do they allow women in the past to be a pastor,
The
or
Baptist?
yeah?
No,
So they believe no women whatsoever.
no, no. I don't know of a Baptist church unless it's just got the Baptist name tacked to it for whatever reason, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't follow the all the rules and regulations of it. No, the Baptist church does not have women pastors. No. And then you got the American Baptist Churches USA. Never heard of that. Origins are the modern descendant of the Northern Baptist Convention, so they're Northern. Mainline and moderate to liberal theology with an emphasis on social justice, diversity, and working with other non Baptist Christian groups.
Okay, so they're more like a liberal
Yeah,
Baptist kind of thing. I don't know of any down here. Do you?
no.
They've got to be kind of like maybe up north somewhere or something.
Key distinctions allows individual congregations to ordain women and LGBTQ plus clergy.
Yeah. So
So
they allow and they accept.
focuses heavily on civil rights, environmental stewardship, and community outreach alongside evangelism.
So now are they associated with the Baptist convention?
No,
I mean, they don't have.
that's only the missionary. Only the
So
missionary.
who's their mothership?
Uh,
The Northern Baptist.
that is it. American Baptist Churches USA.
Okay, so that's their mothership. Okay.
And here you got other distinct Baptist subgroups. Reformed Baptist. It seems like I've heard of that. Holds to the historic Calvinist theology, combining baptism practices with classic Puritan and Reformed doctrine. Free Will Baptist. That's the one I was trying to think of.
Free will. I've
Free
seen
Will.
one of those around here. Many of them, rather.
Rejects Calvinism in favor of Arminianism, believing Jesus died for everyone. Salvation is a free choice, and a believer can potentially fall from grace.
So you
So,
can get saved over and over again.
yeah. So then you got the Seventh Day Baptist. I didn't know that existed.
Hmm.
Observes the Sabbath on Saturday instead of Sunday, holding to the fourth commandment literally. And then you got Landmark Baptist. Believes that valid Baptist churches have an unbroken physical line of of continuity back to Jesus and John the Baptist, rejecting the validity of non Baptist sacraments or preaching. The common thread: despite these vast differences, almost all Baptists agree on Baptist basics: biblical authority, anatomy of the local church, priesthood of all believers, two ordinances, believers' baptism by immersion, and the Lord's Supper. They do practice that.
Mm-hmm.
Individual soul liberty, separation of church and state, and two church offices, pastor and deacon.
Hmm.
Interesting.
But, all of these probably derived from when one person or one leader didn't agree with one, and then they started their own thing, and then another leader didn't agree with that, so they started their own thing. It's kind of like, I mean, it's all pretty much the same, except they just have things that are eliminated or added.
That's exactly what happened, and
You know.
I've seen it myself with somebody in church, or a pastor gets upset, leaves that church, starts another one,
Hmm.
and calls it blah blah blah. And the truth is, if you build it, they will come. That's true.
Well, yeah, because people are gonna come because people will always be seeking or searching for something. You know what I mean? I mean, they're gonna be hungry for something. They're gonna be looking for answers. So they're gonna go look for answers where they can. So that's why if you build it, yeah, they're gonna come. Anywhere you have a thirsty crowd of people who want to know, what is my destiny? What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? And a lot of them till this day still believe that they'll find it in a building,
Most of them believe they'll find it in a building.
and you
Uh,
don't need that to reach out to God. And in my personal experience, and I think that everything else is just mumbo jumbo. What really matters is the core belief and knowing that God exists. God has done too much in my life for me not to believe that he exists. I know that for a fact. But I also know that I was able to reach out to him through everything, and not just at church, but through the trees, through land, through animals, through, I mean, he's everywhere. And I just think that, these all these churches and these different religions that we've discussed, I mean, as far as what the Baptist entails, and how you've got 5 or 10 different flavors of Baptist churches, it's pretty sad.
you just pick one. And what gets me really is the Bible discusses unity and being as one. Okay. So
That is far from unity.
how can you have that many just in one denomination, Baptist? So you got 10 or 15 different denominations in Baptist alone that clearly ain't unified. Clearly, right there, I mean, some of them said they don't have nothing to do with none of them. So, ain't that going against the core teachings of what Jesus taught?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I don't understand. And you'll never make me understand how they can go against, just like the guy that I work with. One day I'm going to have him on this podcast and let you hear him for yourself.
Oh, I believe you.
Uh,
I'm sure he is what he is. Yeah.
don't get me wrong, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. But it's all about church to him. I mean, everything he does revolves around that building. I mean, uh, it it's almost like his worship of God has turned from worship of God to the worship of the church.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm afraid that's happened to a lot of people is they think more of, oh, well, I got to go to church today. For what reason? First of all, for what reason are you going?
Because they feel guilty if they don't go.
Right. They, if they don't go, somebody's going to call them after a while and say, "Are you sick?"
Right.
Or if you don't go for 2 Sundays in a row, man.
Missed you.
Oh Lord, I mean,
And don't get me wrong.
if you quit,
I'm yeah, pretty much. And I've I know that there's people that they can say, "Oh, well, I go because I love to go. I feel like that is where I have my peace with God, and that's fine. I'm not condoning anybody who feels like they need to go there. I really don't. I mean, that's you. You do you, boo boo. I'm just saying that, you know, you're really missing out because God is more than just in one place. Because as soon as we walk out of the doors of a church, what do? We just forget about everything else. We forget about the beauty. We forget about the wonderful things that God can do outside. That we contain God in this small box within the church. And as soon as we leave Sunday evening and we're like, yeah, I've got my fill for the week. And then, I mean, that's how it is. And then you don't really think about it after that until next Sunday. But, really God's more than just that.
And he is. And I'm not going to lie, there's some aspects of the church that I miss.
Mm-hmm.
There's some aspects of it. A lot of the people I miss that conversation and friendship, but the friendship shouldn't stop because you quit going to church.
Exactly. But that's how they view
But it
you.
did. It did stop because I quit going to church. And it that makes me really know and understand who they are and what they are. Because I've not changed a bit. I'm still the same person I always was. I mean, I got some different viewpoints now, but you don't quit speaking to people over differences of opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but they did, they did, and there's a lot of. I mean, there's a church within throwing distance of where we live. I've never ever seen the first one up here asking me to come back. Ever.
Well, probably because they know you won't.
Yeah, but
I
it's
mean,
still there. Is not that one of the core teachings that Jesus taught? Of course, Jesus didn't push, he didn't talk about the building. Matter of fact, you can argue that all you want to, but Jesus taught the kingdom was in you and not in that building.
yeah. And he
And I,
did.
I think that, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, they were the priests and they thought they were the only ones that could speak to God. And when he was talking like, oh, well, I mean, I can talk to God. And they're thinking like, oh, no, you can't. We're the only ones who can.
Right.
And he said, no, man, I can. I mean, everybody can. You're just telling them they can't. And they don't, nobody teaches that.
When I went in, when I was in, we were going to church, I always just had that one perception that Sundays when I would talk to God. Of course, that's my own fault. But being out of that establishment, it's allowed me to talk to God every day because I really think that you do put him in a box.
Oh,
You know,
the church puts God in a box. I mean,
you
no
know.
doubt about it. Because, well, I'll give you an example. I mean, right now it's Bible school time before school
Yeah,
starts
they got
back.
I
They've
see a
had
lot of
Bible
vacation
school
Bible
on,
schools.
it's a competition on who gets the kids. I mean, you got signs out everywhere. Hey, Bible school over here, Bible school over here. And okay, why would you want to do that? I mean, that looks bad.
Advertisement.
I understand that. And just like I said, the guy that I work, I'm gonna bring him on one day and let everybody hear him for themselves. I mean, his church made a Facebook post, and I read it, and I thought, there's no way I'd let my child go to that Bible school just by reading the post. I mean, my children are grown, but if I had a 5, 6 year old kid and I read that post, My child wouldn't go to that
What
Bible
did
study.
it say?
It basically said, we don't want the parents in the room with the children uh, because you're going to distract them.
Okay, that's weird.
And I thought, okay.
Okay.
And I even told him, man, I said, do you even know what they post on Facebook? Because he don't have Facebook. And I said, you really should have it to know what they're posting.
Mm-hmm.
I said, because I'm telling you right now, my kid wouldn't go there just on account of that post right there. Because if I want to go in there to see what you're teaching my kid, I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
But they made it in a way that if your kid, you couldn't call, you go to the adult class and take the kid with you. So I'm thinking, okay. And I looked at him and I said, that's more cultish than it is Christian or Jesus
Well,
like.
it would, as a parent, it would make me uneasy to allow my kid. I mean,
Well, I mean,
why are you making that? I mean, why would you say that? We don't want parents. I mean, like,
yeah, and
dude,
because it'll
can,
distract them. And I said, what are you teaching these kids, man? I mean, good Lord, someone's 5 years old. What are they? What are you teaching them? Well, I don't teach nothing but Jesus. And I thought,
so then
okay,
what's the problem?
you
Why couldn't
sure
a parent
don't.
be in
You're
there?
sure not teaching. That ain't right there. That right there is what Jesus never taught that. And I keep on telling him, and I tell him this daily. If we only lived by what Jesus taught, the whole world would change. No doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't. I said, you don't teach it in church. You don't do it. I said, because you know why? Because if you did really teach that, you wouldn't have to. I wouldn't have to come hear you.
Right.
I could do it myself. The church has usually got you convinced that you can't hardly get out, and they're going to knock this, but that's the only place you can really go get forgiveness is at the altar. Can't do it out here.
Hmm.
Uh,
I
and
guess we're
they
all doomed.
and what gets me is when you go to the altar, they're there telling you what to say, and I'm thinking, how do you even know How do you even know my thoughts, dude? I mean, what's the deal with that? I mean, you don't know what I'm thinking, what I'm
Yeah,
feeling.
it's uncomfortable.
It really is uncomfortable, and I feel sorry for people that want out and feel too guilty to go. I really do.
To leave.
I have a burden for that. That because I know I grew up in situations that the church just it messed me up for a while. It really did. It really toyed with my brain for a while. I mean, when you're a 5 year old child and you're told you're going to hell if you don't get saved, how do you process that as a 5 year old child? You
You
can't.
can't.
You can't process that.
You process it through fear, and you're scared to death for the next 10 years.
And that's exactly what happened
You
to me.
know.
I mean, I was scared to death for longer than that until I figured out, well, I mean, actually, I went to a therapist for it, but and but it took that to make me figure out that uh, what sometimes what they say ain't necessarily right or true.
Well, right now, a lot of people don't see it. And you don't see it if you don't see nothing wrong. But I knew something was wrong from the beginning. Even when I was a kid, I remember thinking something's just not right. I mean, we had been through so many different churches and so many different religions. And who knows, that's probably what kind of really destroyed me. I don't know. But I know now who God really is than what he was portrayed to be in those four corners of of a house, you know. And it's really and it's something that you still continue to deal with as an adult. And it's something that you think about still as an adult. You wonder, And then it's definitely, it gets you thinking, because when you're in it, you're not really thinking about it, but when you become our age, it's like, dang, that was a whirlwind of a big cluster mess,
Well, I
you
remember,
know?
thinking as a kid and even on into my adult years, they'll get up there and preach and say, "Oh, well, you better know that you know that you know that you know that you're saved." Well,
That's
okay,
so scary for a child.
what's that going to do to me? I'm thinking, okay, how do I know that I know that I know?
It's even
But
more.
the scary question is, you can ask any Christian that question, and they cannot answer you. They can, and any pastor, they cannot answer you. All they'll come back with is, well I sure know.
Well,
When you ask them, well, how do you know? How do you know?
well,
Well, I
how
just know.
how does an 8-year-old know?
They don't
How does
know.
a 5-year-old know?
They don't know.
I have friends on Facebook that post, their 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, such and such got saved, and
They don't even
I'm
understand
like,
that
and here the
complicated
child is
process.
sitting there holding, the Bible and smiling, and it's like he doesn't understand what he's
They
doing.
don't
I
even
mean, he really
understand the
doesn't.
process. And I guarantee you could sit that kid down and ask him the process. And he's going to say, well, Jesus loves me. Well, yeah. But according to your church, what's the process you've got to go through to do that? I mean, it it's just so messed up.
Well, I mean, the process for what they would say is, well, you got to believe.
Yeah, what's your belief? Is it 50%, 75%, 100%? Uh, what does that take? Because none of us are capable of 100%. None of us. So, will 50% be okay if I believe? How do you believe? And then when you go back and do the study on all those words that was used in the Greek form, spoken in Aramaic by Jesus, some of them didn't even mean what our English book says it means. I mean, you got to do that. First of all, you got to think with common sense. Common sense. You got to use common
I
sense.
don't think common sense exists when you're really into figuring out, or trying to, are you really busy believing all that you're being told?
But you question any Christian in the church just about anything. I guarantee you today, I could ask somebody that went to church yesterday what the message was. Guarantee they couldn't tell me. I've done it before. They couldn't tell me. So that tells you they're just going to go, because if they don't go, oh God, I'm going to get a phone call by 2 or 3 people wanting to know where I'm at,
Mm-hmm.
and if I miss 2 Sundays in a row, they're going to think I quit. Uh, I don't know the answer to it. I do know that the church holds a lot of control over the people, and that ain't what Jesus taught. Jesus taught freedom, and that sure ain't freedom. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know where they don't see that.
I don't know. I think that when you're in it for so long, you're in it for, since you're a child,
And that's called
you
brainwashing, like it or not.
grew up in it,
That's called brainwashing.
you know.
Like it or not, that's what it is.
I mean, I remember when I was growing up, and I was probably about 9 or 10 years old. And I remember we went and we attended a church that we went to for a long time. It was a Spanish church. And they were like hardcore Pentecostal, I guess you could say, no cutting hair, no pants, no makeup, things like that. And I just remember how, if I remember distinctly, the pastor had announced that if he saw any of the women out there in public with pants on or makeup or anything like that, then he would put them in discipline, which meant that you did not participate in any church activities. You couldn't play or bang your tambourine during a song.
Oh, woe is
Yeah,
me.
and it was thinking about it now, it's like what a joke, what a freaking joke.
Well, we didn't get into Pentecostals, but that is another Christian denomination. And I've been to a few Pentecostals over my period. And Pentecostals, they believe way totally different than Baptists believe. So they believe in is it called the second blessing or whatever it is?
Yeah, they're very
Spiritual,
charismatic.
spiritual baptism. They believe after you are saved, there is a separate, distinct experience called the baptism in the Holy Spirit that endows a believer with spiritual power.
Mhm.
Then, speaking in tongues. Most traditional Pentecostals teach that speaking in tongues is the physical initial evidence that a person has received the Holy Spirit. Okay. Then you got the gifts. They teach that supernatural spiritual gifts like divine healing, prophecy, and performing miracles never stopped and should happen in a regular church service today. Now, I have to agree with that one. You would think that the Pentecostals, the Baptists, the Methodists would all just get together, combine what they believe, and there you'd have it. I mean, why
That
not?
would be too easy.
Because Jesus did say we could do the healing. He did say that. But Paul said, oh, well, all that stuff ended. Jesus never said it ended or was going to end. So, am I going to go with this one or this one? I'm probably going to choose Jesus' words over Paul. And,
Yeah, and a lot of Baptists, they quote Paul a lot. They really do.
they're set up on Paul. Paul never really. Paul was against speaking in tongues as well. But on the other hand, in the Bible, if you can't read that and tell what speaking in tongues was, it was just the ability to speak in different languages.
Hmm.
That was all it was.
But it's just again another something they took out of context.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, you can read that point blank, and it plainly says every one of them heard them in their own language. So he gave them the ability to speak in those people's languages. So what's so? It's like having an interpreter today. Same thing. But where they get that that's a sign of your salvation, I don't know. But now I do believe in the that Jesus taught about the healing, and I don't know that prophecy's gone away or miracles has stopped. Why would that stop?
You don't see it here.
That's because
You really don't. I mean, you don't.
that's
At least they don't advertise it.
that's because we're told they stop. Nobody does it. I mean, the Baptist, Methodists, all but the Pentecostals believe. No, no. Now I have to say, in my 57 years, I have never seen nobody healed in front of me, ever. Uh, Never. I mean, like the stories in the Bible about, God and Baal getting a competition who can light the altar on fire that's drowned in water. God did it, Baal couldn't. I've never seen that happen today. In my 57 years, I've never seen nothing like that. I've never seen a guy with a broke arm, somebody walk up to, lay hands on it, it's automatically healed. Never seen that.
They sure did advertise it on TV. these evangelists,
Well, yeah, I
you
mean,
know.
anybody, I mean, they faked it. You know, most of those people out in the crowd, just like that one guy we watched the other night, his wife was telling him in his earpiece what was wrong and what to do,
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah, blah. And they were handpicked and paid to do that. Now, because I believe if healing is possible, and I believe it is, the church ought to be practicing
Out of fear, they don't.
it. It's out of fear.
It's
And
out of
that's the
fear.
one thing that we ain't supposed to possess is the spirit of fear. But out of fear, they're afraid, oh, what's people going to think of me if I heal it? You know, that's one of the reasons I left the church we were at. And it was a missionary Baptist church. And I remember this guy was, or I can't remember if it was a guy or a woman, down in their back. And this guy prayed, laid hands and prayed on them. And the deacons of that church took them and said, "We don't do that here. We don't practice that stuff here. It's going to get out of control." And I'm thinking, okay, does not Jesus say to do that? What he just did, he instructs him to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling him that if he does it again, he needs to leave. Okay.
That's nuts.
So all this was going on, and a lot of other stuff was going on. And I don't know, it's like a light bulb moment. It went off in my head. Like, I don't know what these people are trying to do. Oh,
Well, it was confusing because the one thing that they preached about, they didn't sell, or they didn't believe in their own product. You know what I
no,
mean? It's
no,
like
they don't.
you're selling it and you're hyping it up, but you're not, but you don't believe it.
They
And
don't
it's
believe in their own
that's
product.
crazy. I mean, that would kind of make me step back and think, okay, wait a minute. This
That's what
whole time,
That's what I tell the guy I work with. You pitch this product every single week, but you don't believe it. You don't push what could really happen.
hmm
Or- And I think they're really afraid that something might really happen, and they won't know how to deal with it. And
so
because I,
then you're just playing church.
yeah, and that's what I told him. You're just
You're just
you're just
playing
playing.
church.
I said, because you know why you're playing church? Because you won't allow me to come to your church and speak.
Oh gosh, that won't happen.
No. And he
You're
said,
not
well,
gonna let that happen.
you're allowed to come to my church anytime. I said, but not to speak. Not to speak. Uh, I said, but wonder if I did come and I did speak, would you ask me to leave? And he wouldn't answer me. And I said, I'm going to take that as a yes,
hmm
because I'm not going to come because in the back of your mind, you're going to think I'm going to say something whether I do or not. And it's going to make you very uncomfortable. So we can't be together. We can't freely come together and worship one God. And because your belief system won't let me, and my belief system is nowhere close to yours. And he said, well, you're welcome to come anytime you want. I said, but not to speak.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what the biggest ironic thing is in that situation? I said, number one, I asked you to marry my daughter because I had that much respect for you. Number two, I said, if I had a church, you would be the first one I'd ask to come because I got that much respect for you. But me, because I believe just a hair different than you do on some things, I ain't allowed. And I said, but you ain't the only one. 90% of the churches in this area would not let me come and speak.
Of course not.
No, they would not. Now, there was times it was put in my head as a 16, 17-year-old that I was called to preach.
Mhm. It's what they do to a lot of them now these
And
days.
that really messed with me a while. Because how do you know if you are or you ain't? Uh, I can't answer that question. I don't know. I don't know how you would know if you're called or not. I mean, I guess if you think about it 24/7 or whatever and you can't get it off your mind or whatever. But I have actually thought about starting some kind of universal, maybe, I don't know. I just think it would be something that people would be interested in.
I don't know. You have to be really careful. You really do because the moment you sound just like you're going to sound like those other ones that said, "Well, I don't like what you're doing, so I'm going to start my own church here." You know?
Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
that's
what's the
true. And
purpose? What's the purpose?
because there's a lot of people out there, I think, that are hurting and they want a way out.
Do
And
they?
I
I
really
think
believe
so. I
that
think a lot of them are comfortable.
a lot of them are comfortable. I agree with you. A lot of them are. A lot of them will never see it no other way. But a lot of them do see it. A lot of them see it. But they're so afraid of being the damnation falling on them by these people that actually they go to church with.
Hmm.
They won't go. They won't step away. And I do know that. I know that to be true. And I just believe a lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are, they want to say it, but won't. And I may be that voice. I may be
Yeah.
the voice that says, hey, you know, you believe what you want to believe.
So you think that there's people out there with still some religious trauma that
Oh, absolutely. And
I
there
do
will
too.
be all down through, as long as the practice stays the way it is, there will be those people 20 years down the road. Because you can't tell a child at 5 years old, if you don't get saved, you're going to hell. Because that messes with you. That really messes. And the only reason you do get saved is because you don't want to go to hell. And, Jesus never said that. I mean, he never said that.
And if our listeners, if they have an opinion and they say yes he did, put it in the comments
Yeah, because I'd
or
like to see it.
send us an email or something,
Because I'd like to see it.
because we want your feedback on these podcasts. And we really believe we have a purpose to set things straight sometimes, or at least make you think that it's not hopeless and that there's no purpose and there's no meaning, and it's like a routine circle just going around and around and around, and you don't feel any different. You don't see things differently, and sometimes you don't really need to do those things. It's as simple as just loving God, loving yourself,
It's as
you
simple
know.
as what Jesus said, loving God and loving your neighbor. That's basically all there are to it. If you can do those two things, everything else is okay. It'll work. But we don't do that. They're not taught to do that. They're taught to love them people inside that building, but not the people on the outside of the building. I mean,
And
I
that's really sad.
I've been asked to leave church before because my hair was too long. What does that say about them people? We can't let you in here because it'll offend somebody because your hair. Well,
It's
how long? How long is Jesus' hair? Do you think he had? Do you think it was like shaved? No, I believe it describes him as having pretty long hair.
That was just ignorance, I think.
He was a Nazarene, for goodness sake. That was one of their call signs. Long hair.
Well, that was culture.
I mean, that was everybody's culture then. It ain't like I had a barber shop around the corner.
Well, I think we're going to go ahead and conclude this tonight's podcast. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, give us, we're not afraid to answer any questions that you may have,
Nope, we're not.
you know.
And we're going to try something shortly. We're going to live stream audio only to YouTube. Everybody says you can't do that without video. Yeah, you can. And we're going to see how that goes. We're going to see how that goes. Why do you need to see my face? Number one, you don't.
I just think audio is just
Radio and audio is still king no matter what anybody says. You don't get in your car and flip on the TV, flip on the radio.
exactly.
And
But I don't really think anybody would have an argument about it. I mean, I think it's just the way we choose to do it. If you're more than welcome to listen, if you don't want
because
to,
you
then
can
you don't have
actually,
to. It's that
I
simple.
mean, this is going to be new to me. I mean, of course, all this stuff is new to me. I'm learning every time I do it. But you can put comments actually live while we're doing it, and we can answer you live while we're doing it.
Hmm.
And I think it'll be neat.
Yeah,
And,
that would be kind of pretty awesome.
yeah.
That way you can also kind of get to know where we stand. I think you should know where we stand by now after the podcast we've done. If you're one of our listeners. But anyway, I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the night and enjoy the rest of your week.
So you love it.